What is going on, guys? This is Brandon from USF1. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for my very short preview video, and coming back from summer break, it's kind of hard to get back into the flow. And then of course this video is late because I didn't get a chance to watch the race until late yesterday, and then I already kind of knew spoilers already going into it. That was kind of annoying, but that's kind of what happens when you have family and stuff over and you can't actually do the things that you want before like in the mornings and stuff. So I couldn't get a chance to watch the video, the race. So just watched the race shortly, like a little bit ago, and so therefore that is why this video is delayed. So I apologize, guys. Stuff happens. Yeah, sorry for my phone going off, but yeah, let's dive into it. Obviously Spa is everyone's it's a lot of people's favorite track. Some people call it a little bit overrated. Maybe with these cars, maybe just because of they can't follow. I actually have to say that the Formula 2 race was like 10 times more exciting to watch than the F1 race. But of course, like me rooting on our Haas guys, to the best points finish we possibly can go for, always keeps me involved into Formula 1. But let's start out with a team by team analysis on how the Spa-Francorchamps went for them. Well, first we're starting out with Sauber. Obviously they are not competitive whatsoever, having last year's engine in it. So Marcus Ericsson having their best result at P16, and then Verline ended up going out like around lap 3 with suspension damage, which is kind of typical if you don't have very good downforce for this track, because you need a good split between fast top speed and downforce for sector 2 and some of sector 3. But yeah, very disappointing day for them, but they're gonna have a very disappointing year altogether. But McLaren, they've been off the pace altogether. They said they're gonna have an upgrade for this week. Obviously that didn't really happen. Stoffel Van Dorn in his home Grand Prix, his first ever home Grand Prix, comes P14. He just sort of just managed his car and made sure it didn't falter or anything like that. And then Fernando Alonso was P18. He actually didn't have a very bad start. He always has a pretty good start. He's always very calm and collected coming off the line, but he was just kind of sound like Romain Grosjean the entire race, complaining the entire time, which you can't really rag him for that. His car is underperforming and it lacks a lot of power, and Formula 2 cars even have more power than his car. But yeah, he ended up like radioing in around like lap 27 saying, hey, it is raining in the forecast. His engineer said no. So yeah, it's like, okay, well, I'm coming to the pits, I have an engine problem. Ended up retiring around lap 27, and and that was the end of his day. Can you really blame him for just calling it quits? Especially when he's gonna get passed by everyone. He was battling with Palmer, and I think he gave up the position like 3 separate times after passing him. And then he just gives it right back on the straight. So it's got to be very frustrating. Red Bull, talk about frustrating day. Max Verstappen had a very frustrating day, going out in lap 8 with a major, I think it was a gearbox issue at the end of the day. But yeah, he ended up having, like, it almost looked like he had more fans than Stoffel Van Dorn did. There with the whole like grandstand full of orange there, and he had a special orange helmet, which I actually have to admit looks pretty badass. But yeah, very disappointing day for Max Verstappen, which he ended up like going out on the right hand side of Radion, well, the straight. So I'm not too very good with this, all the corner names, just just some of the main ones. But he was in the at the car recovery spot on that straight where the marshals were taking care of him. They gave him a couple of yellows, which brings me into the next. I'm sort of going to bring in Ferrari into this, but Kimi Räikkönen ended up getting a 10-second penalty for going through the yellows for Max Verstappen's car, and that sort of just killed his race, his 10-second stop-go penalty at in the pit stop. But he ended up Räikkönen was very pissed off that he got it. He sort of, I guess, I kind of agree, sort of halfway agree with Räikkönen, saying like his car was out of the way and he doesn't really need the lift. But double yellows are double yellows, and you do have to lift. So, and you didn't know that he was out of the way until you were already passing him. So, you kind of have to follow the rules, and the rules sort of state that you get a 10-second stop go. It was a very harsh penalty. It kind of took out his entire race. I think he was running P2 or 3 when that happened, and that sort of killed his race. I think he ended up dropping all the way down to P4. But yeah, back to Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo obviously coming P3. He ended up making very hard. Like, he was running P5 the entire race, and out of nowhere he ended up getting a podium. Just from his reaction, his photo on the podium, he was kind of surprised that he even got there. He was obviously very happy that he got there. And great drive for Daniel Ricciardo. Very unlucky for Max Verstappen. And then of course Lewis Hamilton ended up coming out on top for the race win. Congratulations, Lewis Hamilton, for your matching Schumacher's most pole laps, and then of course getting the race win on Sunday. And yeah, he on the restart looked like almost Vettel could have a chance to pass, considering that he had the ultra softs. But I think like ultimately the long wheelbase of the Mercedes, and they have I think it was 5 to 6 mile an hour faster on the straight at the end of the straight. Overall top speed. Ended up doing it. Lewis Hamilton ended up saying that he actually allowed Vettel, he lifted at the top of Eau Rouge to allow Vettel to pull up alongside him. So therefore, Vettel did not have a slipstream to come up onto him and pass him going into at the end of the straight. So, I guess it was sort of a smart play by Lewis, because he knew ultimately once he got past that turn, he would be able to put a gap in between Vettel, and he would never be able to pass him whatsoever. But almost seems like Vettel, he was saying that well, I got really close because that he almost passed him, and then Lewis was like, well, I lifted, so that's why you're close. And then and then he just never was challenged again. So congratulations for Lewis. Fair fight to Vettel, but I think Vettel will actually have better days at other tracks. I think this track just ultimately fitted Hamilton quite well. And then, Valtteri Bottas coming in P5. Very solid day for him, but, of course, he wanted Mercedes in general, wanted better results. But P5 is pretty solid results. But, you always want more. You always want more. And then with Ferrari, I already mentioned Kimi Räikkönen. He ended up coming P4. And then, obviously, Sebastian Vettel actually had a very good race. But he just couldn't pull it out at the end, coming P2. And then Renault. Freaking, who would have thought? Palmer actually looked great in both practice and qualifying. He was actually beating Hülkenberg most of the time. Boom, gearbox issue, and and they ended up having to switch it out. Yeah, I think it was a gearbox, or was it an engine? Something like that. But yeah, very disappointing day for Palmer. But he ended up coming P13. So obviously he was struggling for most of the day. But Hülkenberg, oh my God, P6. What has Renault been doing at their factory? Have they not been, have they only been working on their car and then on their engine and not actually working on Red Bulls? And then my Haas guys, end up coming in, unfortunately, we were coming in double points finish. We were 7th and 8th going into the safety car. But then at the end of safety car, K-Mag, locked up both his front tires and sort of went off the track. So they ended up having to go back into the pits right at the restart. So that sort of killed his momentum. He ended up finishing P15. He just couldn't get back on track. Just coming right above Ericsson and right behind Van Dorn. But unfortunate day for K-Mag and for Haas for at least having a double points finish. But Romain Grosjean coming P7 with our points. It's great to see. Everyone always saying that K-Mag is iffy. I at least think that he's better than Esteban Gutierrez, just on the fact that K-Mag's at least a solid driver, and Esteban didn't seem like he was all that solid. But last year ultimately we only had 29 points at the end of the year. Right now we're already at 35, and we're only halfway through the year. So I think ultimately it is this year is a success already with Madison, and anything that we get more from this is just bonus. So. All you K-Mag haters out there, shove it. All right, suck my balls. The flag, the Danish flag and the suck my balls flag right under it. That was great to see. There's only 3 more to go, guys. The Williams, they did not seem on pace. They didn't even get out of Q1. in qualifying. So of course they weren't going to get much of a result today, but Massa ended up banging in a P8 finish. That's probably just due to, you know, the Force India cars clashing with each other. And then Lance Stroll coming in a solid P11. I think he came P11, like I think it's like his 3rd time now he's done so. You know, from having a very bad qualifying, that is actually a pretty decent result. Yeah, I'm sure Williams will always want more. So, and then Toro Rosso, you know, like they actually didn't look all too, like they didn't look bad, but they also didn't look good during qualifying. They do have a, you know, a Renault engine as well, with Kvyat coming P12 and Carlos Sainz coming P10. But there is talks on the horizon that Sainz actually is out of a drive, and there's a, you know, an opening there, but I'm really not too sure. Don't quote me on that. I just saw that this morning. You know, I worked like 10 hours today, so it's kind of hard to you know, remember back then. But yeah, Toro Rosso, you know, at least has 1 point on for Spa, so pretty decent. I'm sure you guys always want more. And then last but not least, Force India. We have all seen the video and pictures by now of you know, of the 2 cars coming at it again. You know, these 2 guys have had some bad blood, and considering that they're teammates, that's not very good. You know, a very good thing to see. Like Ocon was trying to pass Perez going into turn 1. Well, right after turn 1 on the straight, in the Kemmel straight, going into Eau Rouge, passing him on the right, and then you know, Perez sort of squeezed him up against the wall, literally up against the wall. And then, you know, going up in Eau Rouge, Perez was on the outside, and then his right tire ended up just coming completely off. And, you know, he ended up going to the pits, and he ended up not even finishing, coming P17. And then Ocon later on, like, ended up coming P9, and then later on said, well, despite my teammate trying to P me, like, trying to kill me, I came P9, so ha 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 ha. So, yeah, that was kind of fun to see. Great drive for Ocon. So I'm glad they both were all right at the end of the day. Ocon thought that, you know, they were trying to kill both of us, especially him. But you know, Perez refutes that, of course. But you know, it was a pretty dangerous maneuver. He had no reason to actually squeeze Ocon whatsoever, so it doesn't really make sense. But Ocon, I guess, also probably should have backed off and tried to pass Perez at the end of the straight of Raidillon. So I guess like could be blame on both sides, but regardless, Perez squeezing Ocon was kind of a dumb idea. So yeah, guys, obviously Lewis Hamilton ended up getting driver of the day. Do you guys think he deserves driver of the day? If not, leave your comment below who your driver of the day is. Who is also your you know, like your worst driver of the day? I'm gonna start that out. I'm actually gonna have to say Sergio Perez is probably my worst driver of the day, and then because of you know, his antics that he showed. And then my driver of the day, shit, I would actually have to say Nico Hülkenberg for, you know, like putting that car up into P6 and actually have a pretty solid result. I'm not really a fan of Hülkenberg now after, you know, like the whole K-Mag incident, but I think like ultimately it was just, you know, like water under the bridge, and it's kind of funny ultimately to think back upon. But yeah, what do you guys think? Leave your comments below. Who do you think? Sorry for, you know, like the video thing again. So yeah, Spa-Francorchamps, probably like the most packed venue I've seen so far out of the year. I'm sure it'll be beat. I'm sure it'll be later, you know, like later on in the year. But for now, that was, you know, like Spa is always one of my favorite races to watch. Ultimately, I guess like this year wasn't exactly the best when it came down to, you know, like theatrics. That's only because, you know, like the cars nowadays cannot, you know, like really follow one another just because of the dirty air effect that it has on the front wings. The reason why the F2 race was kind of fun to watch is because those front wings are so simple that they actually can follow super close to each other. And then of course, you know, like they have spec parts and stuff, so they can't always pull an advantage. But you can obviously tell that there is a difference between the power teams, the ones that have a lot of money like Prema, and teams that don't, like I don't know, even like the lower team names, but like Russian Time and everything like that. They all have a lot of money put into their cars, and you know, like there are a lot of small differences between them, but the culmination of a bunch of small things ends up being a big advantage to some of those for those cars. And it's obvious when you can tell that like Leclerc can pit in the middle of a sprint race with like only like a 5-second lead and then come back from like P10 all the way back to P1 and winning, just because of sheer pace and stuff. So yeah, you know, like he's a great driver and all, but a lot of it's that car, just like, you know, like the Lance Stroll effect. Daddy put a lot of money in that Prema team, same exact team that, you know, like Leclerc's on now, and you know, and he ended up getting all those, like you know, Lance Stroll had to get all those results, but there was an obvious advantage between that car and the rest of the field. But that's all I'm saying, guys. I'm not saying he's an untalented driver or anything. I just think that his results are sort of skewed. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I'm Brandon with USF1. Stay tuned, probably Wednesday or so for the preview for my next video. But yeah, guys, I'm Brandon from USF1. Hope you guys have a good day. Peace.